Okay, so just to make it official, I got permission to record and I'll share this recording with you. And yeah, and part of the reason why I want to do it like in this interview conversational style is because I feel like things just naturally flow better. And I want this to be more like a conversation than like a question answer kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I've worked with you for over a month. And I would love for you to share, well, like what was going on in your life? What were you struggling with at a physical, mental, and emotional level? Because for me, I think that all of that is one thing. And then as you did therapy, like what started shifting for you and yeah, what you learned.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Um, when before we started working together, I I was yeah, I think altogether I was in a 5 weeks very hard time. Maybe I need to explain that a little bit. So the background of why I was feeling so unwell. In my
Mhm.
case, for 3 years, or for 5 years, my soul goes through an awakening journey. And since 3 years, I get access to past lives. And I had no idea about this. And at the beginning, when this happened, can happen at any kind of trigger situation in my current life. And when it happened, I wasn't familiar with it, and I was trying to manage myself through it. And most of the time, I was more or less able to do it. It was sometimes very intense or tough, and emotions would come up. But I wasn't. I never learned in life how to deal with my emotions. To be frank, so I would suppress them. I would just find ways around and avoid them,
Yeah.
or just somehow get out of the confrontation. So that was my now I learned compensation method, right? So
Uh,
I also used to read 1,000 of books in the past 3 years to better understand myself. And when these past lives came up, I didn't have the training, I didn't know so how to handle them. And 2 years ago, I started to work on a past life which was very intense and has a lot of impact on my life now.
mhm.
And before we started working together, I was very blindfolded. I wanted to, and naive, I wanted to release those emotions that were obviously still stuck in the system. And I could sense it. I just thought I'm very smart and I just released them. And then I can just finally say, goodbye, life. Thank you for all the teachings. I got it. So, one of the things that I did in this life was I committed suicide.
Yeah.
So, it was a very strong spiritual life. So a
Yeah.
lot of teachings, a lot of things that I learned. So I was already familiar with everything that had happened,
Yeah.
but then I had this wonderful idea of just release the emotions, say goodbye. And when I did that,
Uh-huh.
it went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, we're
You
laughing
know,
about it, but it was not funny when you reached out.
no, no. No, so it's giving me goosebumps now. So my
Yeah.
soul's giving me goosebumps because yeah, it was not. It was it was a ride in the elevator, very down to the personal hell. So what happened then when I unconsciously thought I'm doing the right thing, but I did the wrong thing, or did it in the wrong way in the wrong surrounding?
Mhm.
What happened was that I experienced what the nervous system does when it cannot handle things, right? So I think I got into a re-traumatization of this situation that is obviously more than 20,000 years ago, in this other life, but these emotions and what happened then, it just came up so it can heal, but my body wasn't capable of digesting all of this. And
Yeah.
so it went into,
Mhm.
first I got so I know it now. So it's called psycho-spiritual detoxification, or intoxication. And it started with, big migraine headaches. So I had incredible headaches. And then my nervous system started to fully shut down.
Mm.
So the nervous system just said, I'm off now, I'm offline.
Yeah. And how
And
did that look like for you?
um, I couldn't think, I couldn't feel, and I couldn't act.
Wow.
Nothing, just literally nothing was possible anymore. So I was just lying here in the bed, and of course, there's a lot of things that go on inside of you. You think like, oh my goodness, what
Yeah.
happens now? You get fear, right? So because you're unable to live your life at all, right? So it's not that you're uncomfortable. No, it means you're gone. You're like, trapped in bed.
Yeah.
And
What were your
you
fears?
cannot,
Tell me more about.
sorry.
What were your fears like? Like when you're in that state, like what were you worried about and scared about?
Honestly, it was a feeling of dying. And it was
Mhm.
also what I sensed about the nervous system. The shutdown was so hard that I felt like I'm repeating that death.
Yeah.
you know, and I had fears of I'm going to stay in that state, I'm going to die, I'm going to leave the body now. I'm separating myself from the body. So and it stays here and I will leave and it feels like dying again.
Yeah.
And this can also, if you're, I think, I can tell that because I went through a lot of deaths, because a lot of these past lives just came up, so I can reflect on that.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is a very intense fear that you go through.
Yeah.
So
Fear of
yeah.
death, pretty much the most intense thing that we can experience.
And it's also what the nervous system did, right? So it behaved as if it's going to die now. So it went into the death mode, right? Into the, like,
Conservation.
totally, yeah. So like when the predator comes, right, and wants to hunt you, and as an animal, it's over.
Yeah.
Now the predator will eat me. And I think there's also a thing our bodies do, right? So it's a protection mode, right? It's something that is good for
Mm.
both. It's good for the predator because the meat is not going to be bad for the predator. And
Yeah.
right? So because it's even a state further down like stress. It's more intense, even like a normal stress situation. It's, even more down. And
Yeah.
what came on top of that was, of course, these emotions that I couldn't handle. And they started to become like a big ball. It was a couple of emotions, and
Mhm.
it felt like all the emotions are rolling over me. And since I didn't know how to manage them, I got into a depression state. I got into a depression. So I thought, so this is all too much for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Wow.
it blocked all the free centers, right? So first the thinking shut down, then the feeling shut down, and then the acting shut down, and nothing was possible.
Yeah.
And it went on for a week, I think so. And what switched then, because, when I was in that deep state and very, very, in my personal hell, I wasn't even able to raise the hand and say, I need help.
Wow.
Because the thinking was so switched off, I couldn't even put on, I have a Healy device. It's very simple to put it on, let it run on your body so that
Wow.
the cells get a little bit retrained or so the nervous system can be just a little bit relaxed. At that
Wow.
stage, I was even not able to put out the device and put it on my wrist and then just let it run. It was
Yeah.
not possible. I couldn't do any of the methods that I had been taught of. So I couldn't do my own psyche, I couldn't call my friend, I couldn't do nothing. So it was the hardest state I experienced.
Like
And
total
that
shutdown.
lasted,
Yeah.
yeah, total shutdown. And then after, yeah, a week, my thinking came back And I was able to raise the hands and say, okay, I need help. So I need somebody who helps me out here.
Yeah.
Um, that was for me, that was the most important shift, to be back in that state where I can ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what helped me a lot was that I had, before that happened, I used to read a lot of books about trauma, about nervous system, about the vagus nerve, about
Mm.
healing. And so I was very informed.
Yeah.
And since I knew that the cause was the past life and probably these emotions, because I could sense it in the protocol of the last session that I did before that happened, I could put it together quite easily. That helped me a lot, it helped me a lot to ask for the right kind of help.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I did then before we started working was that I said, okay, I need a session of Psyche. So I called my Psyche instructor, so to just, make it possible to act and feel at the same time and rewire the brain a little bit.
Mm.
That helped me to further help myself. It
Oh.
wasn't the solution this time, but it was the beginning of the solution. And
Yeah.
in parallel, I reached out to the medium, Nicole, who had introduced me to this obviously very impactful other life.
Yeah.
And we just went on a session and we clarified what happened now, what's the situation, why is this so difficult for me? And she helped me then, and also helped to make a first release so that the headaches would sort of go away. So,
Wow.
because still after a week, I had them. It was not so difficult anymore, but it was still present. And she helped me to
Mm-hmm.
release that, and then she advised me to do somatic trauma therapy. So she clearly said that. So as an advice of how to move on, she said the best thing for you
Yeah.
would be somatic trauma therapy. And yeah, that's when I reached out to you. And I think 1.5 weeks later, after that all happened, we started working. Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell me about like the shifts that you experienced. I think we worked weekly together. There might have been like 1 week gap in between, but we
Yeah.
worked frequently at the beginning, and how that supported you, and what shifts you felt and how you feel now.
Yeah, I was very surprised to experience how comfortable and easy it can be to go through the body. So it's something
Mm-hmm.
that I consciously did not experience so far. So the shifts that happened were
Mm-hmm.
that when we did exercises, right? Um, I could feel and see an immediate shift in just within the session, right? Whenever we did that, I could start to sense the state that I came in with, and how we could, in just one
Yeah.
session, totally shift the state into a much, much better one. It was, for me, an
Mm-hmm.
incredible
Yeah, I
experience.
noticed that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And incredible for
And can
me
you just
also that, yeah.
go ahead?
So for me, it was incredible to also be able to see that I can handle these emotions, and that the
Mm.
clue to resolve the depression was actually to not handle the entire ball, but to
Ah.
allow just one emotion after another to come out and show up, and through your teaching, it showed me a way that I can be with it inside of my body, and nothing is going to happen. So there's no need for shutdown of the nervous system. There's no need for the nervous system to overreact or go into stress with it. It's just a way of being present. Yeah. And this being present in the body with the emotion is not that I have not heard before of it, or I started to train. I think for 1 year I'm familiar that I'm suppressing emotions. So 1 year ago I started to train or trial and then see how I can become better on staying with the emotion, you know. So, but I've also noticed
Mm,
that I had, you know, used some other compensation methods here and there, and to be present was not easy for me. And I think
yeah.
if the 5 weeks had one good thing, there's always something good in it, right? Um, then that I yeah, now I'm yeah, you trained me to be to do one step at a time, to just focus on one emotion,
Mm,
and that I'm capable and my nervous system is capable of being with it, accepting it as it is, and then
mm,
see it switch, right? See it turn around, and that you can also, yeah, even with those uncomfortable emotions, I learned that I can be friends with, you know, even if it sounds absurd, but yeah. So I was so teach that these bad emotions are bad, and you always have to be the good emotions. So yeah, I think I learned through the body experience now. It's not true.
um,
Yeah,
and
and
like, can you explain? Oh, the video is a bit frozen. I would love for this to unfreeze. Let me see if I can. I'll get my phone and see if the internet's a bit better. Let me see if I tether, because I would love the video call. All right, let's see. It's kind of a little
I
fuzzy, but
switched.
yes. Yeah, I switched. Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
just say, so you mentioned you felt better after a session, like from the beginning to the end, you noticed a big difference. Can you explain like what how you felt different at the end? Like what did you feel that you didn't feel before by just learning to be present?
Well, oftentimes when I came into the session, I would, for instance, be yeah, very much in pain still, or I sensed that there was one of those emotions still present. And we addressed that in the session together, right? And this idea of you to let me feel inside the body and sense the difference between, yeah, there's parts that have tension, there's parts that feel stuck, right, and dark and gray, and then but there's other parts inside of me that feel light, and they're not affected, right? So to show me this difference helped me to recognize, okay, there's a way how you can be with the positive parts of the body, and you can also be with that negative. You can just accept that, but the positive parts, they can be expanded, right? So this is what I learned, and to work on that expansion step by step, very slowly sometimes, um, just to just to notice it within you. Yeah, so it helped me so much to just notice how much more space is being created over time, how much it releases these bad things, or these things that are feeling tense or yeah, uncomfortable or painful, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's the pain that I need to work with. So it accompanies me for a very long time in my life. So and being now able to deal with that pain with a
Yeah.
strategy that is much more better than turning around, walking away, ignoring it.
Uh-huh.
Lesson
Amazing.
of the life was a big lesson of the past life was that I ignored myself.
Yeah. And yeah,
So
like yeah, you mentioned past lives being the reason, and you know, it really doesn't matter what the reasons are beautiful to understand, but if it's stuck in the nervous system in today, like in the now, this is where we need to work out whatever caused it.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't, that's something I can confirm. At the end, the story
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It can be the past life, can be this life, can be a situation, can be just a couple of weeks ago, or years. It doesn't matter as long as it's present, and I don't know
Yeah.
how to handle it the right way, right? So I just noticed that I
Yeah.
had just implemented bad strategies, survival
Mhm.
strategies. So the ones that I was taught, that's okay, right? So we all teach these survival strategies. But
Mhm.
I had such a bad feeling inside of my body really for years. And I think a lot of that has to do with the survival strategies that I was taught. So yeah, I'm very
Mhm.
thankful that I had the opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah.
And it's not
Can I
necessary to ignore itself.
uh, can I
Lesson
also
learned,
ask you
hopefully.
about yeah. So
My
what
karma team,
are
lesson learned.
what do you think was the benefit of doing this in person with me? You said you already have the understanding, but it's not until we had sessions together. So what was different actually seeking somatic therapy, whether, it happened to be me, but how did that help you? And then also, is it helping you, you know, my friend just said, for acupuncture, you go to the acupuncturist to get the treatment, but afterwards you can't put the acupuncture needle inside yourself. So
Yeah.
are there long lasting changes, and are there tools that you are learning that can, these life skills? Because I don't want clients to be dependent on me forever. So yeah, speak to that, if that makes sense, if my question makes sense.
Yeah, of course. So I just want to remember our first session because I remember after the first session, I called one of my best friends. I was able to do it again. And since I already made such a huge shift in that first session, so I could just immediately tell that's the thing to go. This is getting me out of the rabbit hole here. And I was calling her, and what I said was, it's, I think it was, I had a sense that it was your presence and that, yeah, you've gone through all of that and your nervous system is already healed, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, you helped me with your presence that I had a teacher that I could look up to and learn from, right? So it's not
Mhm.
about looking up at that point, but if your nervous system is unable to regulate, it doesn't help to be with other people, those which also have a unregulated nervous system, or have the same issues like you do. So I always love to say that's two guys in an escape room trying to find the exit, right? So this is this is the case of a lot of methods. So even the methods I was taught in, right? So
Yeah.
I can do them on my own. And I have a lot of friends who also practice these spiritual and good methods that you can use to help yourself. But we all say the same thing, sometimes it's very important that you do it with somebody else. And in this
Yeah.
case, this was such an intense experience. I think it was so important that somebody else is there to
Mhm.
support me.
Yeah.
It just it
Yeah.
just went smoother and was easier for me. I think I wouldn't have made the progress in such a short time if you were not going next to me, right? So this is an aspect that I think is very valuable and also beautiful, isn't it? Right? So that we can help one another. And
Absolutely.
you you said, okay, you don't want to be being dependent on you, right? But yeah, I don't think so. Because the trainings that you gave me, so I can use them, right?
Yeah.
I can make the decision if I want to use them myself.
Yeah.
And I can make the decision, okay, am I in a very hot topic where I need assistance?
Yeah.
Or am I in a topic I can already manage? Then
Yeah.
I don't need assistance, right?
Mhm.
And I think this is something that keeps people totally free, right? So to explore. Because I don't know, I have a lot of teachings with that topic of freedom, you know. So are you free? Are you not free? Do you have to do everything on your own, or should you maybe also ask for help? And yeah, this is a very paradox topic, right? So
I love hearing
sometimes it
that
can
through
be tricky.
I love hearing it through your own words. What basically, yeah, I walk alongside your path, and then sometimes we're lost. There's so many paths where we can't see the path, and I just shine the light on a few paths, and I give you a choice of like which one do you want to go down, and I just support you. And then there's this co-regulation thing that we all need, is like someone creating that safe container for you to feel, because yeah, a lot of trauma exists because something happened that was too scary to big, whether in this lifetime or the past lifetime, and we were alone in it, and we didn't get the support that we needed to come out of it. So,
Yeah,
um,
and for a very long time, it was, by the way, not easy for me to ask for help.
yeah,
So
and
I had,
we
yeah.
we have to be able to do it all by ourselves, which is, yeah, stupid, but that's the messaging we got from our society.
Exactly. Yeah. And to break through that is takes some time.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy to see that now.
Yeah, can you also speak to the time thing? Because I want to create the 6-month container, because this stuff takes time. We did 4 sessions and you renewed. Can you speak to why one session's not enough, or why, you know, how you can see the benefits of doing this long term?
Yeah, of course. And even, I think, we made an incredible progress, and just maybe just three words about the
Yeah.
states that I'm in now. So just yesterday, yesterday in the company, we had a town hall call. And I can tell you, there's a lot of emotions associated, not only the good ones, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Listening to some of the plans in the company, and yeah, so I want the best for the company, but there's also some stupid things happening, and of course, I don't like them, and it does a lot of things with me. But after our work now, I can listen to them, and it doesn't affect me that much anymore. It doesn't make me freak out or be aggressive inside or keep that aggression inside of me. So I learned really how to be relaxed with these things, how to be more in serenity, how to surrender and just say, hey, let them all make their experience. Let them fail. It's okay. So yeah, it can't be perfect. So I just noticed also myself, right? So how I'm really good at foreseeing things, but
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, I also need to take myself back and say, yeah, hey, we are all here to experience this. That's an enormous chance, right? And also, our leaders have to be able to make mistakes, right? So, yeah, let them make the mistakes. And this is taking me out of the entire stress that I would generate if I'm not stop the wheel of thinking bad, right? So this is just to mention how I can now use what we have learned, but what I have learned from you. But I also think for me it's good that we moved on to a 2 weeks container now, and that we keep working, because I there's a back and forth. It's like it's for me it's a little bit like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
And then you can keep it short, then you keep it longer, and it goes back and forth for some time. You know,
Mm.
this is what I sensed for 5 years since I'm in this awakening journey. I sensed that a lot. You make 10 steps forward and then you make 3 steps back. You fall back into
Yes.
old behavior.
Yeah.
But then you also make another 20 steps forward, and then you fall back into bad behavior. So, yeah, I think that there is a certain consistency that a system like our body, mind, and soul, right? So I think they need a certain consistency to be retrained. And that's why,
Yes.
of course, there's a lot that can happen in one session, but that retraining and to establish this new consistent way of the body to be and feel and react on things that happen. um yeah, I just noticed this takes some time. I'm a very impatient person. I need to train patience also.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you said it so beautifully in your own words. And can you also just like I want to celebrate this win too of so you mentioned before we started working together, like your body completely shut down, you were in full body pain, you couldn't do anything, you were just lying. And like, what is your energy level like? How is your chronic pain doing? I mean, you're not lying flat and I can visibly see more life force in you. So like, how do you feel on a physical level?
I have a lot of days where I feel really, really good.
Uh, Hold on. I want to make sure. Okay, you're back. All right.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna ask us like, how do you feel at a physical level today?
Yeah, and I can tell you today is a little tough, so I will need to do some meditation after our call. I feel some tense areas in my body. I did not do I don't know, yesterday evening I just slept in, and then I went to the bed, so I slept in on the couch already. So, and I did not do my prayer. And usually I do my prayer, and I just noticed when I do my prayer in the evening, I also set intentions for the night, and I just say that I want to have a kind of a protection, don't want to do any astral travels with my soul because my soul loves to do that. And I forgot that yesterday evening. And yeah, then my soul goes on fixing things in other parts of the universe or whatever she does. I don't know. And then she comes back with all this, so, hey, I've done this battle yesterday night, so can you release things? And usually I do my prayer in the evening to just ask for her presence also during the night so that the body can fully regenerate. So I just
Nice.
noticed that when I do it, it does a lot. It shifts the entire way I wake up. But yeah, as I said, it's a yo-yo. So sometimes I fall back. And so today I need to help myself and do a little meditation. But I can tell you, the days before, for instance, I felt really good. So very good, very light in the body, yeah, so light in the emotions. So it was very comfortable.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah, you're like I really light up working with you. You're like the ideal client. I want more of people like you who are willing to do the work, who really hit rock bottom and are just like, I'm dying. I don't know how to come out of it. And then like just seeing how you are today is just it feels like a miracle sometimes. And it's so simple, like conceptually to
Yeah,
do the
yeah, this
somatic
is
work.
this is something I also said to friends. I said, from all the things I've tried in the past 5 years, and trust me, I've tried a lot. From
Uh-huh.
all the things I've tried. So I told Nicole, I said, "Whoa, this is so simple." So I didn't expect that. Yeah, so I think you also asked, what are the reasons for not, or why did it take me so long to
Yeah, I
to
wanted
to
to ask
start
that
with
next.
this
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And of course, I can tell you. So you also ask if there's a financial impact, and yes, it does. Yes, because I was I did own trainings to better understand myself, which were really expensive. I invested a hell of money, to be frank, in the past 3 years. And yeah, in the first years, I took classic. I did, for instance, osteopathic. Support. I got osteopathic support. I just went there and doing osteopathic and Reiki, and this is something the insurance covers. But for 3 years, I'm in educations, and also I use these things that are usually not covered. I work with Nicole, which is a medium, right? So nobody understands that yet. So there's no coverage for
Yeah,
these type
yeah,
of people,
yeah.
unfortunately. Maybe but I think a lot of things are changing. So let's see what it is in 10 years from now.
Yes.
But yeah, the financial part had an impact. And another impact, by the way, was that I noticed that doing too much of the methods in parallel doesn't work for me anymore. It did when
Yeah.
I started, and now I'm on a very deep level of the awakening journey where I just sense it's better to do things one after another. So, and focus on one thing and
Yeah.
do that right, and then do the next thing, and not do a lot of three, two methods in parallel, like going to the osteopath, going to trauma therapy, and going to the medium, and doing psychic. I just at some point I said, "Whoa, this is too much."
I
So
totally relate to that. I was like, as I was healing chronic fatigue too, my body was just revolted. Like I got shut down when I did too much. And I'm like, okay. But I was so
that's
desperate to heal.
it's same. It
Yeah.
was the same for me. And I also see it in some of the friends, so they're the same, so they seek for the healing, they just want to find that one session that, heals it all, and yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's also the journey, right? So it's a journey. So sometimes, sometimes there's people who come into a session and it's just the one session, right? So and they're done. But we don't know what's the karmic work that they have done before, right? To prepare all of it. So they deserve it.
Yeah. And then yeah, for me too, it was once I started the somatic work and learning about the nervous system that I recognized, oh, I need to slow down and I need to do less of the right thing. It wasn't just like doing less, but doing less of the right thing and establishing safety in the nervous system first, and then building other practices on top of that that help me come out.
It's a good
Yeah.
point. That's also
It's
something.
like there's a right order to healing. If we do like everything before our body is in safety mode, nothing will work because we're feeling we're not safe.
It's a true point. That something, an interesting coincidence was during that time when I was very sick, when we started working, I think after the first 3 sessions, I went to a monastery in silence, so with a teacher who's teaching how to be in silence. And of course, there was a really good combination, to be there for 3 days in total silence and just practice to be with oneself, be in nature, be very calm. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting because of a few sessions we did, I was able to I felt really good being there in a monastery, sitting next to foreign people and don't speak a word while eating, for instance. So a lot of
Uh,
people are totally
yeah.
afraid to do that, right? So and I
Yeah.
felt so
Silent.
secure all of a sudden.
Oh,
It was
amazing.
so such a pleasure for me because yeah, I'm also so used to talk, be with all the people, it's also part of my job, yeah. But I also started to really feel some pleasure in being alone in being with myself, in being calm, have no music,
Even
nothing
your body.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It takes um feeling safe enough to be in our bodies and having the capacity to be with whatever comes up without, being afraid of it. And then it's easier to just be in silence, be with ourselves.
I
Yeah.
was, for instance, I was very
Mm.
afraid of being bored. Boredom was something
Oh yeah.
I I couldn't pack, so I'm so also trained from a workaholic family that the concept of
Yeah.
boredom and
Yeah.
doing nothing doesn't exist, so it's not programmed that it's the best thing that can happen to you is just have the pleasure of doing nothing. It's the full opposite of what I
Yeah.
have grown up with, you know. It's a total new discovery
Totally.
for me to allow myself that, so because usually from the background I come from, so I have two workaholic parents, it's just not one, it's both, So and it's also for me,
Yes.
if you do it too much, it's also a sense of addiction, right? You're addicted to work, so
Mhm.
because you cannot be in boredom or alone. So I could always be alone, but I think what I did not handle very well was being in boredom. So accepting boredom, accepting nothingness, and just be. It was still something I
Mhm.
feel I have to work on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's already 45 minutes in, so thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate your time. As I said, you'll get a free half an hour session with me. Use it whenever, whether it's in an emergency or whenever you want. And I'll send you the link to this recording so that you can use it for whatever purposes you want.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. It was a little bit over the time, I'm sorry, but I hope I answered all the questions you had.
No, for me, that's fine. Like I want to be conscious of your time as well.
Thanks so much, Naomi. Really.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
Same for you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.